So we were looking at an important theorem in vector calculus, which is called Green's theorem. The name is nice. In the today's scenario, everybody wants to be green, right? So it's a nice theorem from that point of view. So let us restate the theorem. It says that supposing you are given a vector field with x component p and y component, second component as q. So pi plus qj is a vector field given in a region U, and R is a region which is inside U, and C is the boundary of that region, which is a simple closed curve with a smooth boundary. Then it says the line integral of the vector field p that pi plus qj, so that is same as p dx plus q dy over C. C is the boundary which is a simple closed curve, is given by the double integral over the region R enclosed by the simple closed curve of the function partial derivative of q with respect to x minus partial derivative of p with respect to y dx dy. So this theorem relates, keep in mind this is a line integral only on the boundary. So you are evaluating something only on the boundary and you are able to relate it to something inside the domain. That's why the importance of this theorem is there, right? Something which is evaluated inside the domain is related to something which is evaluated purely on the boundary of it. We'll see applications of this later on once we do the theorem. So let us prove this theorem mathematically. Of course, this line integral depends upon what orientation you want to give it to your boundary, the curve, closed curve. So it should always be counterclockwise orientation, or what is called anti-clockwise orientation for the simple closed curve. So let us prove this. As I said, we are going to prove this theorem where R is a region which is a simple region. Simple region means what? It is a type 1 as well as type 2 region, right? So we will assume firstly that this region R, that is whose boundary is C, is a region which is both type 1 and type 2. That means if you take vertical lines, they cut the region only once in one line segment at the most, and similarly horizontal lines cut the region only in one line segment, not in two pieces or more than one piece. So with that assumption we are going to, and for that supposing let us write R as a type 1 region in the plane, then we know that we can write it as x between a and b and y between fx and some gx, and we have assumed that the boundary is a smooth boundary, so this fx and gx are going to be continuously differentiable functions. So this will have at the most 4 pieces. This boundary of the region R will have at the most 4 pieces. So let us look at those 4 of them. So C1, C2, C3 and C4. Fx is the bottom, right? Gx is the top, and C1 and C2, other two are on the side going parallel at the most to the y-axis. So C1, C2, C3, C4, this is what region looks like. It is R1. This is region of type 1. So x between a and b, and as you move vertically at any point in take any point x between a and b, if you move vertically it starts with fx and goes up to gx, right? So we want to give anti-clockwise orientation. So C1 will have downward orientation, C2 will have, this will have right side going up and then going left. So that will be the anti-clockwise orientation on the boundary of the curve C, right? So what we are going to do? We are going to calculate that line integral p dx plus q dy with this orientation, and similarly we will calculate the double integral and show that the left hand side is equal to the right hand side, right? So to calculate line integral, we need not only need orientation, we also need a parameterization for the boundary, that curve on which you want to integrate. That is the first step. So let us give orientation parameterizations for this. For C1, what will be the parameterization? X is fixed at A, only Y is varying, right? So AI plus Yj, and Y goes from B to A, right? It is not going from A to B, it is going from B to A. Similarly for C2, an orientation, a parameterization would be at any point x between A and B, Y is at fx. So it will be xi plus fx, j, x goes from A to B. Similarly for C3, we can easily write x is fixed at B, so it is bi plus yj, where y goes from, right, f of to G of B. F of B to G of B. And C4, essentially the graph but going in the opposite direction. Right? So if this were on this side, right, orientation was the opposite one, then I could have written here as xi plus gxj from A to B. But now I write B to A. So with a negative sign only it will come. So I know the parameterizations for all the four curves. We'll write down the parameterizations and evaluate the integrals, line integral. So let me write down the parameterization. So C1 is AI yj and C2 is the graph. So x plus fx. C3 is going vertically up. So bi plus yj from fb to g of b. And C4, I am writing it as C4 is minus of C4 tilde, where C4 tilde is going in the right way. Okay, from A to B. It will be negative of that. Okay. So let us now, using these orientations, let us evaluate the line integral P dx. Line integral was P dx plus Q dy. So let me evaluate the first one, P dx. So how will you evaluate P dx? Write P in terms of the parameterizations. Right? What is dx? You know from here in terms of dx. Right? So write down P dx. So this is equal to integral over C1 plus integral over C2 plus integral over C3 plus integral over C4, because C is, right, a union of these four pieces. Over C1, what is happening on C1? That was vertically going down. Right? X remains constant. So the first part is 0. Similarly, the third part will be 0. Only two integrals survive. So let us write down those two. So the first one is 0. Second one is A to B. X fx. Okay, dx, and this one is x gx but going from B to A. So with a negative sign, so do it appropriately, put a negative sign there and rewrite this as, put the negative sign outside, to the P of x gx minus P of x fx, but that I can write it as integral of the partial derivative of P with respect to y. So that this value, right, if I integrate the partial derivative of P with respect to y from these, I get this value, right? That is integrating from one variable. So that is only where this value you enter it as with a negative sign outside. Okay? So what is this now integral? What is this integral? This is a double integral of this function over the region x going A to B, y going from fx to gx over that region R which is enclosed by the curve C. Right? So this is written as a double integral. So minus of partial derivative of P with respect to y, x dx dy. That is the first one, P dx. I have used the fact that your region R is representable as type 1 region and evaluated the line integral by giving suitable parameterizations. Same thing you do it for the other one, Q dy. There you use the fact that the region R is also expressible as type 2. Right? So accordingly you evaluate and you will get the answer. So we will write similarly. I strongly advise that you write down a proof of that integral of Q dy, write Q, write that region, right, enclosed by C as a type 2 region, and C actually it comes out to be that. Because that will help you to analyze the problem also. How did minus come? Because you are trying to read and understand, or are you trying to listen and understand? That's what this is a very common mistake all of you are doing. Most of you are doing, you're opening the notes and trying to see what is happening. You can't be doing it we have given you notes, just notes you should read at home only, at hostel only. Please listen to me. Okay? In this, you should try to understand what is being done. Then you will be keeping track of what is going on. I am not going to repeat the steps again for you. Why the negative sign is coming. Okay? Read it. Because the last integral is from B to A, not A to B. Okay? The other one. Third, fourth. So, read it carefully. Okay? Please, don't try to always compare the notes in the class. Okay? And do it. Aim of giving the notes was not that you try to find mistakes while the lecture is going on. What is the typo here? Try to read and see what is extra being given and try to note it down. Idea is try to listen and understand without the botheration of writing anything at all. That mental pressure of writing and understanding we want to remove from your mind, so that you have something to fall back upon and go back and read yourself later on. If this experiment fails, then probably next time onwards will not give notes at all. You write down whichever way you want to write down. Okay? So please, I think it is advisable that you don't look at the notes at all. Try to listen what is being told. You have come to the class to listen. Right? Okay. And then you see how the things are happening. So, combining 1 and 2 similarly, right? PDX we evaluated. I showed you how to evaluate. Evaluate the other one also, Q dy, using, it is a type 2 integral, right? So, type 2 region, give the appropriate boundaries and you will add up these two to get Green's theorem. It is true for a simple region. Okay, so let us just look at an example to illustrate this concept and fix the idea what is happening. So let us look at a vector field F which is given by the component, the scalar field P is given by minus x square y and Q is given by xy square. So only calculation of partial derivatives, that will give you the right hand side integrand for the double integral. Directly you compute the line integral. So where is the region? The region is the circle inside of the circle with radius a. So what will be the boundary of this? That is a circle boundary with radius a. So parameterization of that, x is equal to a cos theta, y is equal to a sin theta. But you have to see theta goes from where to where. You are giving anti-clockwise. So theta goes from 0 to 2 pi. So anti-clockwise it will always go from 0 to 2 pi. Right? So integrating this function p dx. So put the x and y in terms of theta, dx in terms of theta, right? X is equal to r cos theta, so you know dx is equal to r minus r sin theta d theta. Similarly convert that into d theta, one variable, integrate out. Okay? Double integral, this is a region, you will be integrating a function of two variables, namely q dy minus the partial derivative with respect to x of p. So you have to write now as iterated integral and compute. Right? So as a iterated integral, we have already done this unit inside of a disk. So what is x? X goes from minus a to plus a, if you want to write as type 1, right? And y goes from minus square root to plus square root, the upper lower circle to the upper circle, that is y. Right? So you can compute all this. So let me just show you the computation. So this is the unit disk. Oh sorry, not the unit disk, the circle. We are looking for RT is equal to a cos t plus a sin tj. T goes from 0 to 2 pi, and then you evaluate p dx q dy. Put the value of p in terms of t, dx in terms of t, right? So this is only simple integrals in terms of t. Evaluate them, and whatever answer comes out to be, eventually it comes out pi a 4 by 2, and the other also should come out to be pi a 4 by 2 if our all calculations are okay, right? So that is called verification of the theorem. So partial derivative of q, that is xy square, minus partial derivative of p with respect to y dx dy. So as I said, you can write as a iterated integral, x goes from minus a to a and y goes from minus square root of a square minus x square, the lower part of the circle, to the upper part of the circle, plus a square minus x square, square root x square plus y square, right? So that is again integrating one function at a time. You can use polar coordinates or whichever way you like and evaluate and verify that it comes out to be equal to this. So what we have done is just stated the theorem, what is called Green's theorem, which says that the line integral p dx plus is a theorem about vector fields and curves in plane only, first of all, right? It is a two-dimension theorem, means it is about curves and regions in plane only. Okay, so you take a curve, take the inside of that is the region R, take a vector field which is defined on this region R and the boundary of course, and with appropriate conditions of smoothness, then it says the line integral of the vector field over the boundary is given by the double integral of, right, the vector field is pi plus qj. So it will be the double integral of partial derivative of q with respect to x minus partial derivative of p with respect to y, that function of two variables integrated over the region enclosed by this simple closed curve, right? But we assume that your region R is a very nice region, it is expressible both as type 1 and type 2 regions. But I would like to extend this theorem a bit beyond that also. So the idea is that normally if something is true for a region R1, and supposing Green's theorem is also true for a region R2, and they don't overlap but their boundaries are common, right? Then for the union also it will be true. Why it will be true? The basic idea is, okay, let me just show you in a picture. So this is one domain and this is another domain. So this is R1 and this is R2. Okay. So if supposing on both separately, both are nice regions for which the Green's theorem is true, then we want to say that for this union also the Green's theorem will be true. So what will be the idea? On R1 it is true. So what is the boundary of R1? Anti-clockwise you will be going this way. Right? So that is the boundary of R1, that is C1. So that is C1, you will be going on this way to calculate the line integral. When you want to calculate the line integral of the vector field over R2, what will be the anti-clockwise orientation? This one, right? So vector field is same on both the things. Now you see that this line integral will be on one direction, other one will be other, so this will cancel out. Right? In the line integral part, these two line integrals will cancel out because they will be opposite orientations. So you will get on the right hand side is double integral over R1, double integral over R2. So when you add these two equations, what you will get? That the line integral over this big boundary is equal to the double integral of the appropriate thing over R1 union R2. So in a sense what we are saying is for R1 union R2 this is a boundary. So you would have extended Green's theorem to a bigger region which can be split into two parts which are both R1 and type 1 and type 2, or for R1 and R2 both Green's theorem holds. And more generally, so you can write now this as a theorem, or we will not write it as a theorem but we will just understand it, that if a region can be split into disjoint regions with non-overlapping regions with common boundaries, then for each one of them it is true, so it will be true for the union also. And the idea basically is that given a general region, you try to draw lines parallel to the two axes and split the region into parts which are type 1 and type 2 both. Right? So that is basically the route one follows to justify that Green's theorem can be extended to any simple closed curve, a region enclosed by any simple closed curve. Right? So let me show you some more pictures how this extends. So basically what I have said orally, you can read down the notes, saying that supposing a region by drawing lines, you can cut it into parts. So on the common boundaries, the line integrals will be in opposite directions and they will cancel out and everything will be okay. So all that you can write mathematically for each region, you have it, add up the corresponding equations, the line integrals on the left hand side, extra things will cancel out and you will have the appropriate equation. Right? That Green's theorem is valid for such things. So all that is written down in mathematics, you can read it. But the basic idea I have already explained to you what it is. For example, let us look at a region which looks like this kind of part. For this Green's theorem would be true because you can draw lines, right, and cut it into regions which are of type 1 and type 2 both. Now if for this it is true, you can join it with a similar thing on the other side, okay. For a half of that tube kind of thing, it will be true. But you can have another half of a tube like this, and that will be true for a annulus region also. So what we are saying is, by this kind of processes, you can extend it to, say, half disc, annulus regions, and so on. So most of the regions which geometrically are nice, Green's theorem holds for that. Okay. So you can extend for annulus regions also Green's theorem. So this is only a motivation, but this is not the exact proofs to say that this holds. But at least it gives you a feeling that, for example, you want to extend it over a region like this. This is not a simply connected domain, right? In R2, this is not a simply connected because there are two holes. Not only one hole, there are two holes in that actually. But again, there is no problem. What we can do is we can draw lines, right, and cut it up into regions which are simply connected, right. They will be enclosed by simple closed curves. For each one of them it is true. So then the common boundaries again will cancel out with, the line integrals will cancel out with each other. Is it clear to everybody what I am saying? Yes or no? No? Okay, let me explain it with a single so let us look at a region and there is a hole. So region is, this part of the domain is not a part of, right? So we are looking at this annulus kind of a thing. Okay? So then, as I said, supposing I draw a line like this. This is not a simply connected domain. We have already shown for this, it holds actually, Green's theorem holds. But the basic idea, whether one hole or two holes, that doesn't matter. Idea is, you draw an imaginary kind of line, do the construction as you do in geometry, then you can have it R1 and R1, this portion, R2 is this portion, right? For R1 there is no hole in that. So this region, going from here to and coming back, that is a region enclosed by a simple closed curve. For that it is true, for R2 it is true. Now join the two together. And when you are going along this, you will be giving this orientation. And when you are going along this, you will be giving the opposite orientation. So these two line integrals will cancel out. So on the left hand side, when you add up those line integrals, you will get a line integral only over the boundary. So, and same thing you can do if supposing you have one more hole here, right? You can still do it. You can cut that also into simple parts. For each one of them it is true and patch them up together. Right? For domains which are not simply connected with a finite number of holes, also Green's theorem can be extended. Is it okay? Because on the common boundaries, the line integrals are going to cancel out each other. That is not going to matter at all. So it will be integral over the bigger boundary. So that is the idea for the proof. So for such kind of regions also you can extend. Well, we'll give you an example why you want to extend it to more complicated regions like this. What's the advantage of that? So we'll tell you that. Okay. Let us consider this example. Our favorite function, right? It has been giving us many counter examples at various places. So let us keep one and so that we keep understanding. So this is defined at every point in the plane except at origin. Okay. So for this, let us take, I want to apply Green's theorem to this vector field. Okay. So, what is the condition of vector field? Conditions for the Green's theorem to be true, the vector field should be defined, right, in a region. And if you are looking at a region R, at all points in the region R, the function should be defined, right, and should be continuous, right. But over the whole, it is not. So, let me not go over this. Let me look at a curve. Let me look at a curve like this, which avoids the origin. Look at a simple closed curve, C. This type, so that it does not include origin inside. Then I can apply Green's theorem for this vector field on the region enclosed by this simple closed curve, right? Because for every point in that region, function is defined, right? It is nice, smooth, the simple closed curve, no problem at all, right? So let us apply Green's theorem for this curve. Okay, so what we'll get? Green's theorem says that the line integral over this is given by, okay, I can apply Green's theorem, the right hand side, partial derivatives. When you compute that partial derivatives, the integrand is 0. So the integral comes out to be 0. You see the line integral, I don't know that curve at all. I don't know that curve at all. It is some closed curve, simple closed curve which avoids origin. Any closed curve, simple closed curve. And I am able to integrate it, find its line integral. That's the power of Green's theorem. Right? As far as this example is concerned, without knowing the curve, without knowing a parameterization at all, I am able to integrate because the integrand happens to be 0 in that case as far as the double integral is concerned. Right? So it says, whatever be the curve, if it avoids for that vector field, if that simple closed curve does not include the origin, then the line integral is going to be equal to 0. Now let us try to do the case when the simple closed curve includes origin, what I can do about it. Okay, so let us take a simple closed curve. This is a simple closed curve which includes origin. So directly to the region enclosed by the simple closed curve, not apply Green's theorem because the origin is causing problem. So let us try to avoid origin. How will I avoid origin? Let me draw a nice small circle around the origin and look at the portion only outside that small circular region. But inside that curve C. So I am going to look at the region which is inside, right? So this is the curve C and this is the origin. So I am going to look at, okay, simple closed curve, and I am going to look at only this portion. That is the region R I am going to look at. On that region R, once again the vector field is perfectly defined. No problem comes. And Green's theorem is applicable because this is a domain with only one hole, right? Green's theorem is applicable. So what will Green's theorem give me? It will give me that the integral, the line integral of the vector field over the boundary of that region is equal to the double integral of the appropriate thing over the region enclosed by it. But what is the boundary of this? I have got a region with one hole. Okay, what is the boundary of that? So this is, okay, so this curve is C, okay, this circle is, let us call it as CR, circle of radius R, okay, this is our region. So I am looking at this portion, which is annulus kind of portion. What is the boundary of this portion? Boundary consists of two simple closed curves, right? Because if you remember, when I cut it up, I will be getting line integral over this portion and line integral over other portion. Only these two will cancel out. So I will still be left with the line integral over this plus a line integral over that. And what will be the orientation? So let me try to cut it and see what will be the orientations coming. Supposing on the bigger curve, I have given anti-clockwise orientation for the Green's theorem to be true. So this will be the orientation on the bigger curve. Now when I cut it up and I want to look at only this R1, the upper portion, I will be coming like this and I should be going like this, right? I should be going like this. That will be the anti-clockwise orientation. For the lower portion, what will be the anti-clockwise orientation? This is going like this, I will be coming like this, then I will be coming like this and then going out like this. So only this will cancel out. Now you see the boundary of the bigger region with a hole. What are the orientations? The outer one has anti-clockwise, but the inner one has got the opposite one clockwise. So when there is one hole, you have to be careful with the different pieces of the boundary, what orientations you should be assigning. Okay. So for this one, outside it is anti-clockwise. For the inside, it will be the clockwise orientation. So with that, let us look at our calculation. So I am going to apply Green's theorem only in this portion, in the annulus portion. Okay. So inside the region, so let us see what. So Green's theorem will tell me integral over C. C is the outer one given the anti-clockwise orientation plus integral over CR. CR is given the clockwise orientation is equal to that double integral over the right appropriate things. Partial derivative of Q with respect to H minus partial derivative of P with respect to Y, right? But we know that that thing comes out to be, integrand comes out to be 0 anyway. Right? So this is equal to 0. So what does that give me? That says this line integral plus this line integral is equal to 0. But this is going clockwise. So I can put a negative sign and make it also anti-clockwise and take it on the other side. So what do I get? That both the line integrals are equal. If I look at the outer boundary with anti-clockwise orientation, that line integral is same as, look at a smaller circle inside it, a nice curved circle, I know the parameterization and everything, right? Look at that small circle, with anti-clockwise orientation, the two line integrals are same, there is no difference between them. So as a part of Green's theorem, what we are able to do is, because the integrand came to be 0, we are able to change the curve completely. From an unknown curve, I am able to bring it to a very known nice curve. Right, which is a circle for which I know the orientation. So I can calculate the line integral now, again, right? So line integral over arbitrary, that curve C is going to be the line integral over a circle of radius R. So let us calculate that, and what is the value? So that is equal to, and that comes out to be minus 2 pi. See, that is the beauty of Green's theorem, okay? The power of Green's theorem is very simple to state, but very, very powerful theorem. So without knowing at all what is a simple closed curve, whether it includes origin or it does not include the origin, we are able to calculate the line integral because of Green's theorem and the special fact that for this vector field, that integrand for the double integral comes out to be 0, right? These two facts tell me. So this is one application of Green's theorem. I will be stating now another ways of writing Green's theorem in the plane, what is called the flux form of the Green's theorem. Right? Because it helps you to analyze the flux of, remember when a fluid is flowing, we computed what is called the flux, right? How much is the flux fluid flowing across a curve in the normal direction, right? So that is coming now only for plane curves, only for plane fluid flows, we are going to analyze that. So consider a simple closed curve C oriented counterclockwise, R is the region enclosed by it. Now a parameterization, let us say this is arc length parameterization for that simple closed curve Rs. So what will be the tangent vector for this? R prime S will give you the unit tangent vector, right? Because it is arc length parameterization, I don't have to do anything. The unit speed parameterization, arc length. So that gives me unit tangent as x prime S I plus y prime S J. Now I write the normal vector which is perpendicular to it pointing outside. So I can write the normal vector pointing outside the region is given by this. Okay, just by assuming that you have got arc length parameterization, nothing more than that. So now let us take a vector field in the plane Pi plus Qj and apply Green's theorem for this simple closed curve. So what does it tell me? It tells me that this is equal to this. That is Green's theorem. I am just writing the Green's theorem. Okay. Partial derivative of Q with respect to Y minus partial derivative of P with respect to X, double integral over the region enclosed is equal to this. I am going to make a slight variation of this. This is for any vector field F. I am going to change that vector field slightly, right, to a suitable one. So I am going to consider the vector field G, which is of the form Qi minus Pj. Okay, I just switched over with a negative sign. You will see the advantage of that. If I do that, then what is the divergence of this vector field? Is a plane vector field only. So what is the divergence? Partial derivative with respect to first component with respect to x plus partial derivative of second component with respect to y. So and that is precisely the integrand which comes in Green's theorem, right? Double integrand. So let us write, and what is G dot n? N we have already computed. So let us write this vector field dot the unit normal vector n, that is P x prime s, that is the line integral part which is going to come for the Green's theorem. So the Green's theorem which we wrote for this particular special vector field G, I can write it as, I can write that, I am not doing anything special, I am just rewriting that Green's theorem for a special vector field with P and Q interchange the negative sign. It says divergence of G dx dy, that was the integrand on the double integral, G dot n. But now remember, what is G dot n? When we look at the line integrals, this is a flux of the fluid flow G across the curve, right? Across the curve C in the normal outward normal direction. So this gives me that the flux of the fluid flow in the unit normal direction, total flux is nothing but integral of the divergence. So you can see again the fluid flow is related to divergence from this theorem also. Remember when we introduced why divergence should be considered at all, we looked at fluid flows and eventually divergence appeared in the equation of the fluid flow. This is another reason you can see now the fluid flow is coming related to integral of the divergence. Okay. So if divergence is 0, now you can see if divergence is 0, left hand side will be 0. There is no fluid flow. So divergence 0, right? No fluid being generated or no fluid being absorbed, no sink, nothing. So that is also from here. So this is a form of Green's theorem only, right? Instead of writing as Pi plus Qj, we written as Qy minus Pj, nothing more than that. Okay. So because on the right hand side this quantity represents the flux, so this form of Green's theorem is called flux form of the Green's theorem. Right? So this particular form of Green's theorem is called flux form of, so this is that was a regular one, this is a flux, right, avatar of Green's theorem. Okay. Right. There is another version of Green's theorem in terms of, after all, line integral also gives you the work done. Line integral also gives you work done moving along a curve. So we can write down Green's theorem also in terms of amount of work done in moving along a curve. So what is the amount of work done? F dot dr dash, line integral. So that is what we want to write down. So that is also easy to write down. So that is so F is the, right? So then what is this? Now I am writing it this in terms of curve. See, vector field is plane curve. The third component you can treat it as 0, right? This is the curl of that vector field dot K. Okay. So what does Green's theorem tell me? It tells you that P dx Q dy, right? That I can write as F dot the unit normal vector T, right? Because the dx I can write dx by ds, okay, and dy by ds. So do that. dot product. So it is F dot T ds. And what is F dot T? Physically, F is a force being applied to a curve at a point. How much will the force applied? Tangential component, moving it along the curve. So this represents the, right? So this thing represents the amount of work done, total amount of work done in moving a body along the curve C by applying a force F. And it says this is equal to integral, double integral of curl F dot K. Right? So amount of work done, there it was flux. The flux came out of double integral of divergence. Amount of work done is coming, the K component of the curl, double integral. Okay? That is amount of. Now F dot T, you can also write in terms of F dot dr if you like. Okay? So this is called the work form of Green's theorem. And if you write this line integral, see, T ds, you can write it as dr dash. Right? You can also write it as dr dash. That is the line integral. Then that is called the curl form of. So same thing, if you write it as F dot dr, then this expression is called the curl form of Green's theorem. This is called the work form of, because, right, in this line integral, okay, F dot dr is equal to this, right, because of T ds is dr dash, right, dot product. So this is equal to this is called the curl form, okay, this is equal to this is called curl form, and this is called the work form. So various ways of writing Green's theorem and saying which form is what. Depending on what data is available to you, this form will be useful. I will give you one application at least today of this. So let us look at applications of Green's theorem. I have one example we have already seen. If your integrand is nice, that double integral, the integrand comes out to be 0, then you can modify your curve. You can choose which line integral you want to evaluate. In general, it is conversion of line integral to a double integral or conversion of double integral to a line integral. Choice is yours. It relates line integral with double integral. Whichever is easier to compute, you compute that. So that is the advantage of this. One form of integration to another form of integration. So for example, there is one example is written, compute this over a C, where C is the square, right? C is the boundary of the square in the xy plane. So when you want to compute the line integral now, you will be requiring 4 line integrals. One here, one here, one here, one here, adding up all these 4 line integrals and then computing. But Green's theorem says you don't have to do that much work. You just compute one double integral over the region and close by it, simply. Right? So that is the advantage of this Green's theorem. So instead of computing over the 4 boundary lines and adding up, you just compute the double integral and find out the answer. So it simplifies the work. So that depends on what is the problem and which one is easier to compute. So okay, that is one computational aspect of it. There is another geometric interpretation of this. The line integral says that p dx you integrate line integral, that is equal to the double integral, right? But supposing that integrand on the right hand side is a double integral, I make it 1. In the Green's theorem, right? The right hand side is a double integral over the region R of something dx dy. If that something becomes 1 constant function, the double integral is the area, right? So let us make that 1 by choosing our vector field suitably. So one choice is you take p equal to pxy equal to y, it does not depend on x, and q to be equal to 0, right? Then on that minus partial derivative of p with respect to y, right, that will give you minus of that. So the area is minus of line integral of y dx over that curve. But I can do other way around. Why do you have partiality between p and q? I can make p equal to 0 and q equal to, I can do that. So if I do that, I will get line integral of x dy is, so I get 2 formulas for area. I can have a third one if you like. You can add these, both are areas, right? One gives you x dy minus, one gives you x dy, other gives you minus y dx. If I add these two, I get a third formula, right? It is not just for the sake of formula, they are useful sometimes. So it is 2 times, so the area will be equal 1/2 of that thing. Okay, so let us write this is half of that line integral. So something in the plane you want to compute area in terms of line integral. You see, just knowing the thing on the boundary, right? What is the values on the boundary, right? You are able to compute the area. This is something very fantastic. You see. Now normally, okay, the basic concept of if you want to compute the area of a rectangle, you have to know line length and breadth. The same thing is generalized now to arbitrary figures, simple closed curves. You see the extension of that. Okay. Let us now various ways of writing this formula. Supposing the curve is given by a parameterization, right? RT is equal to XTI plus YTJ. Then you can appropriately write the formulas, right? Your dx will be equal to R prime TD, right? So you can write that formulas. Okay? XT, YT parameterization, you can write down the formula in terms of parameterization. Now let us take the special parameterization, namely the polar coordinate parameterization. What does this give you? So x theta is equal to R cos theta, y theta is equal to R sin theta. You are integrating between theta equal to 0 to theta 1. Okay? So let us see what it comes out to be. That is the formula we obtained, otherwise also one variable, right? So everything is just to show you that everything is going consistently. There is no suddenly something independently being developed. All are extensions of the same idea from one dimension to two dimension and relating them one dimension with two dimension. So these are. Now I said when we were proving fundamental theorem for line integrals, that saying that the line integral is independent of the path joining 2 points, right? A sufficient, necessary and sufficient condition is curl f equal to 0, provided your domain is simply connected. I said we will not prove that theorem now, we will prove it later on, right? The other part, that if curl f is 0, then it is independent. Now we can prove that at least for the plane thing. When your vector field is plane, right, in the plane, in 3 dimensions we will prove it still later, but at least in the plane, as a consequence of Green's theorem, we will prove it. That theorem, that curl f is equal to 0 is a sufficient condition to ensure that the vector field in a simply connected domain is conservative. Okay, so let us see a proof of that, and proof is one line proof only, because let us take a vector field f in the plane, supposing curl of that is equal to 0, but curl of that is equal to 0 means what? It is 2 dimension only. That means this is equal to 0. That means in the double integral, that integrand is going to be equal to 0. So that means whatever closed curve you take, its line integral is 0. And that is same as saying that the vector field is conservative. So the proof is over. Right? So in one line, because curl is 0, right, it says that the integrand on the right hand side for the Green's theorem, the double integral, that integrand is 0. So double integral is 0, that means the left hand side, the line integral, whatever be the closed curve, right, that is equal to 0. But where I have used simple connectedness? I said this theorem is true only when domain is simply connected. So where we have used the fact simple connectedness in this. What is it? How will I apply indirectly? Yes, good.
I mean, without breaking it into 2 parts.
You see, what I am saying is when I apply Green's theorem, I am assuming that the boundary is only one piece, C. Integral over C, the simple closed curve is equal to, right? You are right in that sense. And if it is not simply connected, then the boundary will not be one piece. It may be some more pieces because there will be holes in the plane, right? If a plane region is not simply connected, what was the definition? Simply connected means there should not be any holes in it. Not simply connected will mean that there is hole, and that means the boundary will not be one piece. So the line integral will not be integral over C, it will be integral over some C1 plus integral over C2 equal to. So that will not give me that integral over every closed curve is equal to 0. So implicitly, as I said, indirectly, we are assuming that the boundary of a simply connected domain is only one piece, right? And that is true. So that is the fact being used here. Okay. So I think let me stop here. Let me not go beyond time.